Visiting Israel with ex-Australian Prime Minister Morrison Johnson denounces moral fog over siege, obscuring savagery of October 7. Says nobody should be telling Israel how to prevent recurrence. Former British Prime Minister Boris Johnson and former Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison visited Israel on Sunday and toured southern Israeli border towns devastated by the October 7 Hamas onslaught. Visiting Kibbutz Kfar Aza, where 100 residents were slaughtered by Hamas, Johnson said what he had seen was horrifying and he wished that people around the world could see with clarity what happened, so people could be under no illusion about the savagery, the sadism, the lack of humanity of Hamas terrorists. Of course, it is right for Israel to take the necessary steps to stop the happening again, he said. Asked about sales overseas for a ceasefire, he said it was not for international community to tell Israel how to proceed. When there are 240 hostages, when you have a crime on this scale, and when there is a possibility of its happening again, I don't think it is the business of the world to tell Israel to stop, he said. Johnson said earlier in the day that he was in Israel to show my support, my solidarity with the people of Israel after what appalling attack on October 7. Worst atrocity, the worst massacre of Jewish people, what we have seen since the Second World War. Johnson said he also wanted to highlight that since that appalling massacre of October 7, you are seeing a kind of fog descent, a moral fog, and I just want to remind people of the absolute barbarism of what took place and to make it clear that Israel has the right to defend itself. There can be no moral equivalence between the terrorism of Hamas and the action of the Israeli Defense Forces, added Johnson. Asked about the massive reliefs in London and other UK cities that support or at least downplay Hamas October 7 atrocity, he said, I would say to everybody marching across the world right now, supposedly in support of free Palestine, in fact, what they are doing, whether they understand it or not, is condemning the brutality and the murder that was conducted by those Hamas terrorists, and which, by the way, they would do again. And that is why it is so important that Israel is given the time and the space to do what it needs to do, to catch the murderers and to make sure that they can't do it again, said the former UK Prime Minister. He repeated those sentiments at Kibbutz Kfar Aza, saying that those who are marching, whether they like it or not, they are giving moral support and comfort to the terrorists who did this. At least 12 British nationals were among them. 1,400 people killed in Hamas cross-border attack on October 7, and 5 are suspected to be included in the over 240 hostages being held by the terror group in Gaza. A British minister also suggested that dual nationals whom Hamas has not allowed to leave the Gaza Strip could be classed as hostages. Asked whether October 7 and the UK protest in support of Hamas mark a wake-up call for the UK and Europe, Johnson said it should we can ever be complacent about anti-Semitism. It shows we are got to be vigilant, but I am afraid it also shows that Hamas was become, perhaps always was, an ISIS-like death cult, and it is going to require a security solution. Describing London as one of the safest big cities in the world, Johnson said UK should not tolerate anti-Semitism. I do not think that we should tolerate inflammatory language, incessant to persecution of any group in our city and in our country. I want people also to understand anti-Semitism is like a spore of a virus. The tragic truth is that for centuries it lurks beneath the floorboards in Western Europe. Across the world, people are misled, misguided into expressing this kind of nonsense. He went on, London should be safe for all communities and it should be safe for Jewish people also. He stressed when at Kafar Aza, where there is anti-Semitism, where there is hatred, the law must come down like a tin of bricks. Johnson and Morrison were hosted on the visit of Likud MK Danny Danon, a former Israeli ambassador to the United Nations. According to the Sydney Morning Herald, Morrison said he was thankful for the opportunity to join former Prime Minister Johnson to come to Israel as a demonstration of solidarity with the people and the state of Israel and the Jewish community throughout the world.